Question we're seeing asked a lot is, who is Georgia's senior senator? Traditionally, each state has a senior and junior senator, depending on who's been serving in the chamber the longest. But neither Senator Warnock nor Senator Ossoff have previous congressional experience, and they're sworn in on the same day. Senators are typically elected to 6-year terms. These are staggered so states can avoid electing both seats at the same time. But when former Senator Johnny Isakson retired early, that put both of Georgia's seats on the November ballot. Senator Warnock won the remaining 2 years of Isakson's term, defeating Kelly Loeffler, who was appointed to fill in until a special election could be held. Senator Ossoff, on the other hand, defeated incumbent David Perdue to win a full 6-year term. According to the Congress website, that distinction makes him the senior senator in Georgia, even though at 33 years old, he is the youngest senator in Congress. As Georgia's senior senator, Senator Ossoff may get placed on more influential committees, which in turn could give him more clout when it comes to things like which bills ultimately go to the full Senate.
And with